Hi, I'm Dom. What's your name?
I'm Laura. Nice
Laura.
to
So, out of everyone that I've interviewed, most of them I've known for a while, and I think you are the person I've known the least,
meet you.
both time-wise and just I don't know you that well.
Okay.
Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a great question. I think me when I was a freshman versus me now are two completely different people.
Yeah.
Right? When I was a freshman, I was not planning on going to college. Or at least not for a while.
Like before freshman year, you?
Well, yeah. I mean, back when I was a freshman, I wanted to go on a gap year and go travel. That's what I wanted to do. And that was COVID time. So I graduated in 2021. And that kind of went out the window. Once COVID happened, I was like, well, okay, so I'm not going to travel. And I felt kind of lost. I didn't know where I wanted to go, and my parents were literally like, well, you need to do something. And they looked up Southern New Hampshire University. They saw a communication program. I didn't even have a major back then. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And they were like, this kind of sounds like it's up your alley. Like, I did musical theater in high school, and so I had a lot of experience in public speaking, and I loved connecting with people and making friends and networking, which it wasn't that back then. It was just talking to people. But I heard the idea. I thought, why not? I applied. I got into SNHU with no other options. I didn't apply anywhere else. And I didn't even see the college until I took the tour. So, and that was when I was like, I was already going. So hopefully I liked it enough because that was my only option. And I saw the campus and I was like, sure, yeah, why not? And I decided to go here. Back then I was a big theater kid. I had a group of friends that I was happy with, and we all kind of went our separate ways. So coming here, I was kind of lost. I didn't know if I was going to make any friends. I didn't know what I was going to do. And looking at myself now, back then, it definitely is really cool to see where I've come since then. But now I think I still love musical theater. I'm still a big musical theater person. I don't do it as much, but I still love it. But I definitely have more of a vision of like who I am now, not just like career-wise. Like obviously, like, I love marketing, I love communication, I love that, and I'm glad that I chose that, and I'm glad that I got to see it through. But I think I definitely learned. I learned how to connect with people, but not on a career basis as much, just specifically on like a friend-to-friend basis. I was definitely somebody who was very avoidant of confrontation. I didn't stick up for myself really, and so from being a freshman, being this timid freshman who didn't like know anybody, didn't know really how to connect with people, and then coming like to now, I definitely am somebody who speaks up for myself now. I'm somebody that knows what they want, and I'm gonna find my way to get to it, no matter like any of the obstacles. So I think I've become a more confident person now, and so who I am now, I'd say, is somebody that is ready to go out into the world, and I definitely couldn't have said that back then. So I'd say I'm somebody who's confident. I'm somebody who knows like what I want, and I can find my way to get there. And I'm somebody who is open to opportunity and open to connecting with anybody who comes my way. So that's who I am.
Okay. And so you did musical theater.
Yeah.
What was your favorite show? So two-part. Favorite show that you were a part of, and then favorite show just to watch.
Okay. So, favorite show I've been a part of. That's a hard one. Well, I'd say the one that I felt the coolest in, because again, it's musical theater, how cool can it really get? But when I was in 8th grade, all through childhood, I loved going to see shows at this place called Prescott Park in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. It's this outdoor amphitheater, the place is like full of community. There's always events going on. There's always people going to see shows, concerts, go to like the Chowder Festival that happens every year. Like everybody who's around the Seacoast area goes there, and they always do a main stage production every year, and it's a professional production. They also do like little kid camps, and I did those back then. But I always wanted to be in the main stage production, and so in 8th grade I auditioned. It was Mary Poppins. And I auditioned like with a lot of my friends too, and I didn't think I was gonna get it because I'm not a dancer. I'm a singer first. So I went into the auditions not knowing like if I was gonna get in, and I ended up getting the part of Jane Banks. So she's like the little girl that like followed Mary Poppins around and is the Mary Poppins is her nanny. So I got to do that, and it was so cool because like I felt like I got my own trailer with the other kids. It was air conditioned. It just felt like I was a celebrity, but I wasn't at all. But it was cool because we did 30 shows. Like it was the most amount of shows I had ever done.
Was this all in one year?
It was all in one summer. So like going in from 8th grade into freshman year in high school I was doing that. I was also doing like the camps there at the same time too, and it was cool to work with adults. I think that was something that like I learned a lot from like being a kid in shows with adults. I learned like about the adult life before a lot of my friends did, and I made a lot of cool friends like my age, but also like friends with like adults who were like became my mentors. So that was a very fun and cool experience, and I got to be in a show with a bunch of people that are on Broadway now, which is wild. Like the guy that played Bert, he is on the Broadway tour of Peter Pan right now, playing Captain Hook, which is so crazy, and like it was a very cool experience. Now my favorite thing to watch, I'd say, that's a hard one because I was in New York for 2 semesters, and I like signed up for every lottery, so I got to see a lot of shows. But one that I recently saw that I really loved, it's a show called Hell's Kitchen. It is about Alicia Keys. It's kind of like a story about her, and it actually uses her music throughout the entire thing. So like songs like New York and like all of her like big like pop hits, like Kaleidoscope. A lot of these ones that you might know like were in it, but they made it so entertaining, and it was about like young Alicia Keys and like how she got into music and stuff, and it was very like the best way I can describe like the style is like street style, and the way they used the stage, the way that they connected the songs together and like made them into different like they would make like fast songs into slow songs and like slow songs into these like big hits, and like it was very cool to see how they made this one artist's discography into an entire show that was so entertaining, and I think a lot of people would like that show because it's, again, something that like people will recognize, but then also will see it in a brand new light. So I'd recommend that show. It's on Broadway right now, and it was just a great experience.
It reminds me of Mamma Mia a lot.
Yeah, so it's like
Just
one
like
of those.
how you explained
it's
it.
technically like a jukebox musical, so like it's like that, but with all of her music. So yeah.
And so you said you sang, or you sing.
Yeah.
What is your go-to karaoke song?
That's a great question. I did karaoke here at SNA2 actually, and I did it twice. The first time I sang a Olivia Rodrigo song, I sang, what did I sing? Traitor? I went up there and sang Traitor, and I was like, this is like way too sad. I shouldn't have chosen this song. But I like loved it, so I picked that. But if I would go back and do it again, I would do something that's singing and rapping because I love a good rap. Not really,
Okay.
no. It's like I sing like for real. I did like voice lessons and stuff, but rapping has always been something I love. I love Nicki Minaj, big fan of Nicki Minaj. I saw her in concert last year. I love like any like musical that they've made into like a rap, like Hamilton. Love Hamilton, In the Heights, like things like that. I like learned all the words like, and my mom and I kind of connect on that. Like we love like listening to rap music together. So I'd probably do Black Widow, like by Rita Ora and Iggy Azalea.
Yeah.
Do you know that one? Like
Yes.
a Black Widow, baby. That one.
Yeah.
I'd do that, and I would do all the parts.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
Okay, a little morbid, but you're in a car crash. What is, like, the song you're listening to? Also, I didn't really just open my clothes.
Okay, I'll wait to answer. Well, I gotta think about that. Oh, what is this song? Well, it would have to be something like epic, right? Because if I'm gonna go out, it has to be something amazing. Probably. Oh, I got it. Okay. So, I'd have to go with something like real high energy. Because it would be perfect if it has to be a good way to end. Probably Monster, the song with Nicki Minaj, Jay-Z, and Kanye. And the crash would have to happen right at the end of Nicki Minaj's verse. Because, of course, I'd have to get through the whole song before I die, right?
Yeah.
So, it'd probably be that.
Okay.
Great question.
You work at a thrift store.
Yes, I do.
So I'm not sure how it works with like discounts or anything like that, but what is the best thing we've ever gotten from a thrift store? It doesn't have to be yours, just what's the best thing you've ever gotten? The coolest thing?
It would probably for my store, like, it's easy to find things at my store. Like, when you're going thrifting, it is fun because you can, like, look for, like, really cool things and, like, for a cheap price. But, like, when you find something at a thrift store that you're not working at, it feels like you're finding a treasure, right? With Plato's Closet, you kind of get used to seeing all these cool things because I'm, like, actually going through someone's bag of clothes. So it's a little easier. I'd say the coolest thing I've ever gotten. I'd say, I'm a big bag person. Like, I always, like, well, right now in my backpack. But usually I have, like, some kind of purse with me because I'm obsessed and I need to stop buying them. I got a Burberry purse, which is my favorite designer brand. And it actually wasn't, like, a conventional buy for the store because Plato's Closet is not allowed to buy, like, designer. So, like, we can take Kate Spade and Michael Kors and Coach. Those are not as, like, high priced, but, like, Gucci and Louis Vuitton and Burberry and, like, brands like that we can't take because they, like, cost, like, thousands of dollars. But somebody brought in a Burberry purse, and I went through it, perfect condition, this bag, but I couldn't take it. And I checked them out, and we took a bunch of their other stuff, and I was like, I love that Burberry purse, but we couldn't take it because we couldn't give you enough money for it. But would you want to sell it to me? I literally was like, blatantly, I was like, I'd buy it. Like, if it was a relatively good price, I'd buy it from you. And she was like, I just need to get rid of it, right? I'll sell it for whatever. I was like, $50? And she was like, yes. So I bought a Burberry purse that cost, I forget how much it cost. It was like at least over $1,000, and I got it for $50, and it felt like an accomplishment. And again, like, we wouldn't have bought that, so like I was like, yes. And I'd say that's probably my favorite thing I ever got.
Can you give me 2 truths and a lie, and I'm gonna try to figure it out.
Yes. Okay. I actually did this recently in a class when I was in New York, so I have one for you.
Okay.
First one is that my first truth is that.
Wait, you can't say.
Well,
like, I have to guess.
Well, they're all truths.
Okay.
You're gonna have to guess. They're all real, of course.
Oh yeah, no, obviously. Yeah.
So my first truth is that I've always played piano since I was 6 years old. I've grown up playing piano. My mom is a pianist, so she taught me how to play, and I've been playing since then. My second truth is that I've been to Disney World over 15 times in my life. And my last truth is that my brother ran me over with his bike when I was 7.
Okay. I'm scared because the first 2 are number-based. What does your mom do for work?
She's a nurse.
So she's good with her hands, and piano uses hands. Okay. And you're a theater kid, and theater kids like Disney.
That's very true.
I feel like it will be Disney, and it won't be 15. It'll be like, oh, I went 12 times.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
The Disney one was true.
Okay.
My dad's a pilot. If you would have asked that, it might have helped you because we're not rich, so that's how we were able to afford Disney. So yes, I went to Disney over 15 times up until 2020. The bike one is also true. My brother did run me over with his bike, and he kept riding his bike. He didn't come back.
It was
for
a
me.
hit and run.
Yep, hit and run. And then the last one, my mom is a pianist, but I hated piano.
Okay.
So I never learned it, and I kind of regret that now. I wish I learned it because my mom plays it, but it never worked out.
Okay. So I mean, I was right with your mom playing piano.
Yeah.
Okay. So
she used to play the organ for her church, so she was always the go-to. So yeah.
Can I have a sibling tier list?
Okay, well I only have one. So.
Well, where is he?
On the tier
where is he
of like.
compared to you?
Oh, compared to me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm obviously amazing, so he's like down here and I'm up here. No, my brother's great.
Besides for the hit and run.
Yeah. When my brother and I were younger, we definitely didn't get along. But it was more me than him. He's like pretty tame, and then there's me who's like nagging him and always. So maybe I deserve the hit and run. But anyway, on the tier, I think my brother's a lot smarter than me. So
Is he older or younger?
He's older. So he's 3 years older. So he's 25. He's gonna be, he's gonna be 26 this year. He's much smarter than me. He's like a STEM guy, while I'm like more of like an English and like communication type person. So I'd say if I was a 10, he'd be like a 9, because I think like in everything else he's wonderful. He's smart. He has like good amount of friends. He has good work ethic. But I'd say I'm a better articulator, right? So he's like not as good with communicating with people and talking to people and networking. So that's what I would say. He's a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
He's got some flaws.
Not too bad, yeah.
And I obviously don't, so like that's why I get the 10. He gets the 9.
And did you ever have a rival when you were younger?
Yes, I did. It actually goes along with. I mean, I've had a few like here and there.
Was this you like attacking them or them attacking you?
I'd say it was kind of mutual. And the funny thing is that we were friends for we were friends throughout it. Yeah, but like but it was always like a fake type of thing. It was like we're friends, but like we secretly hate each other type of thing. But then like when we were together, we're friends. This is a girl that we it was musical theater mostly. That was why we were enemies. It was funny because like it was actually like one of the shows I was doing. I was auditioning for one role, and she was as well. And I thought she was gonna get it because like she was better at like some of the other things I wasn't as good at, and I feel like we had different like strengths, but like I just felt like she outweighed me in a lot of things. And it was funny because surprisingly I got the role, right? And it made the rest of like, because we went to school together too, it made the rest of like our school year so awkward and terrible. And I had the upper hand, right? Because I had the part, and so I had to be nice. But I just remember we were always like competing with each other. We kind of like had the same type when it came to roles. So we were always like going up against each other. And sometimes she get the role, sometimes I get the role. But like when it really counted, I got the role, and it definitely made our friendship start to go separate ways. And now like we don't really see each other that much anymore. But like there's always been that feud. And I don't think it'll ever go away. We'll always be competing a little bit. Maybe in life, maybe on social media, who knows?
You're gonna find her like at the same application that you're going for.
No, I know. Of course, she's gonna be like, she's gonna be like going for the same job as me. Of course, because I feel like that's just, of course, how it has to end, right?
She's doing it just to spite you.
Yeah. She would. She would.
Now, what's your Mount Rushmore of animals?
Okay, so how many people are on Mount Rushmore? 4?
Yeah.
Okay, well first, obviously a koala.
Okay.
Favorite animal of all time. I'd specifically say my dog.
Okay.
So my dog's a poodle. Oh, you probably won't be able to see it on camera, but she's my she's my screensaver, but that's her. And she would definitely be on it because she deserves to be up there.
What's her name?
Ruby.
Ruby.
Yeah, she's gonna be 11 on May 12th. So she's getting old. But yeah, she'd be on there for sure. What other animals? Who else would deserve to be up there? Maybe like an elephant.
Okay.
I just feel like that would look good on a Mount Rushmore with my dog.
Like with the ear. The ears might be like
Yes.
covering someone though.
Maybe be on the end. So maybe like
Yeah.
definitely would be covering my dog. My dog would be like on the left.
Front and center.
Or yeah. And then I guess the last one. Maybe. Oh, a guinea pig.
Okay.
I grew up with guinea pigs. I had 3 as a child, first pet. And I loved them. Like, no matter, like, my dad didn't let us get any more because he thought they smelled bad. But I don't care. Maybe one day I'll get another guinea pig because they're just so cute and they're so perfect. So I'd probably have that one there. And because it's smaller, maybe it'd go next to the elephant. So yeah, that'd be the best Mount Rushmore ever.
Okay.
So.
Do you have any crazy stories with either Ruby or the guinea pigs?
Well, Ruby's, she was problematic as a child.
Was, not anymore.
No, she's mellowed out at this point. But she's a Labradoodle, and so she's very smart. But that a lot of times would, go against us because she was smarter than me. Like she'd outsmart me. She's a big beggar, so she begs for food all the time, and she's definitely gotten into a lot of things that she shouldn't have. I'm trying to think of like the worst. Well, there was one time, so we had Elf on the Shelves as a child.
Yeah.
And my mom would put the like Elf on the Shelf in different places, and like she didn't expect my dog to ever like even be interested in the Elf on the Shelf, even though the Elf on the Shelf looked exactly like a toy. And so what ended up happening was it was on the tree, like the Christmas tree. My dog jumped on the Christmas tree, grabbed the elf, and started running around. And at the time, the elf was not supposed to be touched. Because if you touch the elf would lose his magic, and like it would be sent back to the North Pole.
Yeah.
So the problem is that we wanted to get the Elf on the Shelf back, but we didn't know how because we couldn't touch the elf. And so I remember my brother and I put on like oven mitts, and we're like trying to like get the elf. And we felt bad for the elf because the elf slobbered all over, and it was a mess. But yeah, that was probably my best story. And like at the time, I was like losing it and crying and all that. But now it's funny to look back on. For
How
sure.
long ago was this? Like a year ago?
It was last Christmas actually. Yeah. No, I think it was like, well, it was back when, so probably like 2nd or 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Like when Ruby was new to the family?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, oh wait, actually no, it would probably have been 4th or 5th grade because we got her, I think that was in 4th grade. So, but the funny thing is like back then, my brother already knew that Santa, or don't want to give it away, Santa's not real. So he was just playing along the whole time. I never knew, but he was like getting the oven mitts and everything, and so it was funny that like now I'm like, oh, he was just playing along for me, but it's a sweet moment if you think about it, but. Yeah, that's my story.
I'm gonna look through my list. Do you like the beginning or the end of a Sour Patch Kid more?
The beginning. I'm a big sour girl. I used to love Warheads. I used to love like the Juicy Drops. So probably sour, not sweet.
Which is the best Sour Patch Kid color?
Blue. And it's crazy because that was never even a thing. I probably would have chose like red if the blues didn't exist.
Yeah.
But I also love the watermelon Sour Patch Kids. Like those are top tier. So.
Have you ever tried like the jelly bean ones?
No.
I don't know if they're new, but like I just started eating them. There's like the normal ones and then there's the watermelon ones, but they're so good. Like it's just like the same bag, but just filled with jelly beans that are just the same taste, and they're so good.
That sounds up my alley for sure.
Yeah, they're like awful for you, but they're so good.
Well, that's the best thing. I mean,
that's like the whole point of it.
Yeah, that's the point.
When do you think you peaked in life?
Probably like when I was in musical theater, like I just felt like so cool. Just because like being on stage and like people like giving you feedback, I would say, even though it was a really dark time, my senior year in high school was when like 2020, like, and then into 2021 was when like everything went dark. But my school used to do like a musical theater competition. We would go to, it was called MTCA. We would go to California, and we like near Disneyland, and we would compete with solos, duets. We also had group numbers, which the group numbers were basically like you had to make a show into 12 minutes. And so like you had to like cut it up and stuff, and like my director was so good at that, like making like a full like hour and a half show into like 12 minutes. It was really fun and cool, and like but senior year it went virtual, and we were all so bummed. Like it sucked. Like I had done the 3 years and we went to California, and so this year it was kind of sad, but we tried to make the best out of it. So we had to like, instead of like performing these solos and duets and group numbers in front of an audience, we had to record them. And so this was my senior year, so I got a solo duet and I was in a few group numbers. My solo performance, I picked a song that like at first I didn't love, but I grew to love it. It's called My Grand Plan from the Percy Jackson musical. So like if you know Percy Jackson, you would know like the plot and stuff. And I performed that as my solo, and I worked really hard on it. And I had done solos over the past few years, so I kind of like learned what they were looking for and stuff. And I remember like we were in our auditorium and they were like doing the awards like just on like a video, and they would basically do like second, third, and fourth, and then they would like project the person's name in their face for first place. And in my category, I got first place. I beat like some of my friends. Like,
did you beat your rival? Well, obviously.
Well, she wasn't at the school. Thank God. I know. If we went to the same high school, I think it would have been. Oh my God, it would have been terrible. I beat out some of my friends, and like, not that matters or anything, but like I was so like, I felt like a lot of my work paid off, and it felt like I was on top of the world because of the fact that we had such a terrible like year. We were gonna do Rent for our musical, our spring musical. That got canceled. We did we ended up doing a spring musical, but it had to be outside, and we had to do it in a parking lot. We did SpongeBob musical, and it was terrible because most of the shows got rained out. Like it was rough, but it felt like that was like a moment of like, oh, like okay, like this year is gonna end up being something, because at least like I put in the work, I did something that actually paid off. So I'd say that was a really good moment in a lot of a really dark period. So,
yeah. How come you stopped in musical theater?
To be honest, my parents didn't want me to do it.
Really?
Specifically in college. They wanted me to do community. They were like, do community theater, but don't get your degree in musical theater, which is crazy because I was about to do it. That was the reason kind of where I went to do the gap year, because I was like, screw all this. Like, I'm going on a gap year. I'm not even going to school. And in hindsight, like, as much as, like, for, like, most of my college career, I was resenting my parents for that, because I was very much like, this was something I wanted to do. This is what I worked so hard for over my, like, middle school, or elementary school to middle school to high school. Like, I was working towards being in college and getting into a great program, like like Tisch and NYU or something like really cool like that, and then they were just like, oh, that's not happening. So like me going to SNU, I was like, ugh, like, fine, I'll go to SNU, I'll live here, I'm not living at home, right? Because I was like, I don't want to be at home, because I was mad. And I did do musical theater freshman year. I went to the one meeting of this new drama club, which wasn't for me, but I did do like a local theater in Derry. I did that for freshman year, and then I kind of just got caught up in like the college life.
Yeah.
I finally made some friends. I finally like started like I had a job here now as a tour guide at the time, and like I was doing other things, and so it kind of got put on the back burner. But I did go to New York twice and got to kind of experience musical theater as an audience member a lot. And I still love it, and I still would love to do it. It's more just like that every year I don't do it, and like the longer I haven't taken a voice lesson in a few years, and like I feel less qualified every time. And people say like, that doesn't matter. Like you could always get back into it. I just think I need the courage to be like, all right, just go and audition for something, even if you don't get it. Like I learned in high school and stuff that rejection's okay, So now I just have to remind myself that, and like it doesn't hurt to try. So it's something that I definitely regret not doing more, but I think for a while it was almost like something that was like taken from me almost, and now I feel like I've realized that it was never really taken away from me. It was more that like I felt like I had to do it in this way. I had to go to college for it. I had to go to New York and live in a shoebox and like like do that when like it can still be a part of my life whether I major in it or not. So I definitely learned that over the past like 4 years.
Yeah. And so SNU, we're gonna be talking SNU now.
Okay.
What do you think was the most pivotal moment here on campus?
Honestly, I think it was more of a social thing. Because I do think, like, career-wise, like, in these classes and stuff, I've learned so much, but I do think I learned a lot just from being a roommate. That was something I learned a lot from. I learned through my connections, like, my roommates or whatever, I learned that I have to stick up for myself. I can't expect other people to stick up for me. I learned that freshman year. My roommate situation did not work out my first semester, and I blame myself a lot for it. But I realized over time that the relationship I had with my original roommate was not good, and there was nothing I could have done to change it. It was like my roommate dropped out, and my roommate kind of tried to use me as an excuse as to why she dropped out. It's kind of a long story, but it basically was that she was not going to class, she was dropping out, she was never at school because she was very homesick, and so she was my only friend. I had to find other people. That was how I found my roommate for the next 3 years, was going out and being like, you know what, okay, my roommate's not here, I have nobody, but what am I doing sitting here? I need to go out and socialize and make new friends to survive, basically. I made a lot of good friends. And when she came back, it was almost like I had neglected her, I had left her, and that wasn't the case. It was just that I had to move on. I had to find other people, and she did not take that well. She kind of said, made it that I was the reason she left, and that I was bullying her, and that I was misusing her space because we lived in a room together in Kingston, and none of that was true. And for so long I was like, oh, I should have done better. I should have been a better roommate. And I'm like, I was a good roommate. Mm-hmm. I learned the hard way how to room with somebody. That it's hard. It's not easy. You have to make compromises. You have to do things like that. But at the end of the day, I did the best I could. I had to live with what I had. I didn't have friends. I didn't have people to be with, so I had to go and find them. And I can't sit around waiting for somebody to come back when inevitably she dropped out. I thank God I made friends, right? I thank God I made other friends, because if I didn't, I would have just had nobody, right? I also so I definitely learned that eventually I had to stick up for myself. I had to be no, that's not what happened. You can make it that way, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna live with what I did. I'm gonna live with how I was as a roommate, how I was as a person, how I was as a friend. And if somebody wants to twist that story and make it into somebody who I'm not, then I just have to learn who I am, right? I have to be happy with that. And if people don't like that, then it is what it is. So I had to learn to just be very upfront with who I am as a person, and don't let other people define who I am. So I learned that. I also learned that of course I need to be able to, the sole person to stick up for me, but it is okay to have resources. My RA at the time was the reason I made it through, was the reason that I didn't beat myself up for what happened, and I was able to move on and grow from it, was because of my RA and her believing me, her being I know that that's not who you are, and then my friends too, but again, I also had to be they can support me, but they can't do this for me. If I want to stick up for myself, I have to do it on my own. Mm-hmm. So that was a big lesson I had to learn right when I got here, but it definitely helped me moving forward with relationships that I had, even best friends. Living with a best friend doesn't always go perfectly. Things are going to happen, you're going to fight, and you just have to be prepared for that. And I think that initial that initial situation, and even though it was so terrible, it definitely helped me throughout the next 3 years. So yeah, that's what I learned.
And what do you want like your legacy to be? Either SNU in general, like however you interpret that.
That's a good question, because to be honest, like I don't know. Like I know that like I want to be known as like just in general as a good person, as somebody who could be trusted, someone who can like not just be trusted like on a personal level, but also like as a career, like somebody that like they can rely on like to get delivered what needs to be done. So the hard thing is that like I don't know exactly where I'm going from here. So I think it's hard to be like, oh, like I want to be my legacy. I want to be like in this position, and I want to have influence on this. I know I want to have influence on the entertainment industry in one way or another. I definitely think storytelling is a big thing of mine, like whether it be like just with friendships, with whatever I do creatively when it comes to my career. So I guess the answer is kind of vague, but I think that like it's enough, because who knows where I'm gonna be, right? Who knows like what I'm gonna do and like what legacy I'm gonna like put out to the world. But I do know that like I just want to be known as a good person, somebody that has influence in a good way, and I think that's kind of all I can say right now. But
yeah, I mean I think that's like perfectly fine to be vague. Like there's nothing wrong with that at all. Stop. What is your favorite memory on campus? Or not just on campus, like regarding SNU people, like I think
I think like of course we had all these fun events over the last 4 years, like going to the SNU concert series, or like going to the Last Chapter Pub events, or like all these like big fun things that we did. But I think like my best memories were like living with my friends, like especially last year. I lived in Monadnock with 3 of my friends. The one friend that I had since freshman year who saved me my first semester, and then also 2 people that I met along the way. During my freshman year to my sophomore year. It was like being so close. You could like go into like my friend's room and we could sit and like talk and like laugh for like hours and watch shows together and movies, and like those experiences I think are what I'm gonna take, and like the things that I wish I could like replicate. It's hard because like 2 of my roommates from last year graduated. One of them's still here. He lives in Monadnock as well, but with new people. And we like, so it's been like a year, and like we've tried to like replicate what we had, and I think we can. Like I think like the stories that we tell and like the way we are together, our dynamic is the same, but like you know, like when you like live with somebody and like you can like just like go out and do things together and then come back and like watch a movie, and then like if you have a question or if you like need advice, you can just go right over and talk to them. Or like not even just roommates, like friends that live across the hall, or like friends that live in other like dorms, like going to visit them and like going to little like college parties like on campus and like connecting with people that way. Like I think that those are my favorite memories. Like those things are what I'm gonna take away, and like it's sad that like those things, like you'll never have this like college like dorm experience again, but I do also think like you learn so much from it, and it's also like a moment in time, like you know, it's like something that like maybe it'll never happen again, but like it's so cool that it did, you know. And like people, like I also think like every year that I lived in a new dorm, and like it was kind of like a rite of passage. Like I started at Kingston, in like, you know, a dorm with no like kitchen. You had to go downstairs to go in the community kitchen like that. And then I went to Windsor where I had a suite and I lived with like 5 other people, so that was wild. And then then I went to Monadnock and I had like a full kitchen. It was like an apartment. I still lived in with somebody else, but like it was like every year it was like a rite of passage, but like every year had something, a niche thing like that was really special. And I think like just like the dorm experience like alone was something that like you can't get anywhere else, and I think that like that was my favorite thing.
I've always thought like after here, obviously like potentially room with other people,
right.
But then you don't have that until you're in the senior homes. Then you're in Florida, like on a golf course, and you just like watch all your friends there, and like I'm waiting for that.
Yeah, I know. One day, just imagine like all my roommates and like everybody that's new just ends up at the same like nursing home. We're like, well, like we thought this wasn't gonna happen again, but now we're back. That's I kind of want that. Like
you have like the knock parties there again.
we're in our like we have our canes and stuff. That would be iconic, right? But yeah, it's just like something that can't be replicated. Like it's just like so fun, and it just like, and also like you're right. Like I could have an apartment with somebody and like live in like I don't know, New York or whatever. But like I do think it's also a cool thing that not only do you have what you have here, but you have this community at SNU where like, oh, like are you going to that like event? Like there's always something going on too.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's fun is that like you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do with your friends. You can stay in, but you can also like go out and you have all these fun like opportunities like on campus, off campus if you're 21, go to the bars. Like there's just so much to do, and I think like that's something I'll definitely miss for sure.
Is there any one thing that you regret doing or not doing since coming here?
Yes, there's so many regrets. Like every year I'm like, damn it, I wish I could have done that, right? Like that definitely is inevitable. And I think I definitely beat up myself for it in the beginning of the year more than I do now. And I think it's because I've just accepted the fact that, like, it's going to happen to everybody. Like, you talk to, like, Dave Hudson in our comm class, right? And he says the same thing. He's like, oh, I wish I would have done, like, study abroad back when I was in school. Or, like, things like that where you're like, everybody's going to have a regret. My biggest regret, I'd say, is not getting involved as much in my freshman, sophomore year. I think like how great would it have been for me to start Pem and Press, like the school newspaper, in the beginning when I was a freshman. Or like Cape. Cape would have been a cool opportunity. But again, like I think everything happened for a reason. I was just talking to Angie about this. Everything happened for a reason. I connected with you. I connected with Warren or Angie or anybody at the right time, right? Like, I know it's so cliche. Everything happens for a reason, all that. But, like, part of me thinks that, like, like, maybe if this happened differently, maybe none of these things would have happened, right? So I'm trying to think of it that way because, like, if I, like, nitpick everything I did in college, like, I'd be here all day just regretting everything, right? But I did so many cool things that I don't want to discredit that in any way for me being like, oh, but I didn't do this one thing. So I'd say I would have loved to gotten a little more involved. I think I did get involved though, and I think like even for example Pem and Press, I've only been in it for a semester, but how much have I done? I've written 2 articles that are gonna be out and have my name on them. That's really cool. I got to go to the conference with the whole e-board, and I got to experience New York in a different way. So I think like, again, it was only a semester, but there was so much I got to do. So like, I can't beat myself up for everything. So I'd say I could have gotten more involved, but again, I think I was involved enough as well.
I think I always think like the what if question, but I don't like to think about it because it's like, what if you did this thing or this thing, whatever. But then you look at yourself now. Like I really truly love myself now, and like you are such a great person now, and it's like, if I did this one change, like, oh, what if the rival got this position over me? Like, you wouldn't be the same person.
Right.
And maybe you could be a better person, maybe you could be like a worse person, but who you are now, who both of us are now, are great people, and like, I think that's what really matters in all this. Like, it's fun to think about, but
right,
I don't know,
right.
like,
But, and also, like, it's hard, like, when you're comparing yourself. Like, I feel like we've all done that for our whole lives, just comparing ourselves to my rival or whoever it was. But, like, even with you, like, you've done so much, and sometimes I look at that, I'm like, like, that would have been cool if I could have done that or whatever. And, like, you've done so much, and I bet, like, you're, like, happy with what, like, you've done, too. But you're right. Like, if I just, like, was constantly comparing myself to everybody, like, I would just be miserable all the time. So I do try and, like, keep that to a minimum. For sure. Yeah.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
I feel like I've written a list of this of these pet peeves at one point. I hate. I've said this to many of my friends. I hate. Oh, I actually have 2, but I'll start with this one. I hate when people yuck my yum.
Yuck your yum?
Yeah. So
I feel like I've heard that. I don't know what that means.
So basically means that like, if I'm like, oh, like, I loved, like, Ariana Grande's new album, right? I loved her album. Like, I really got something out of it. I have a lot of friends, or not friends, that are like, oh, I actually hated that. And, like, sometimes there's room for a debate, right? Love a good debate at times. But then there are some times where I'm like, are you just saying this to me to, like, make me, like, mad or make me feel like what I like is stupid or whatever? Like, if somebody likes something, let them like it, right? Like, why do we have to be like, oh, like, but I didn't like it. So, like, what you think is dumb. Like, right? Like, it's like, sometimes it feels that way to me where I'm like, oh, okay, so, like, you just wanted to say that to make me feel bad. So that's definitely one. I think, like, even if you don't like something, sometimes you just gotta be like, okay, that's cool, like, good for you. Good for you, you like that. Maybe I don't, but, like, I can see why you would, or, like, I have respect for you to like that. So I think, like, when I'm, like, having, like, talking with friends and stuff, like, I try to not be judgmental, and, like, I think that, like, yucking someone's yum is just, like, a way of sometimes making just someone feel bad about what they like. Another one is when people spoil movies and TV shows for me. I hate that so much. Like, I'd rather you, like, ask me if I want to know. And I, on the other end of it, like, I sometimes have a hard time not spoiling things for other people, so I can be a hypocrite at times. But, like, let people enjoy it in the time. I don't need to know that this person dies on season 8, right? Like, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I want to find out on my own. But it's funny because sometimes I'll spoil stuff for myself. Like, I'm watching a show called The OC, and I was just looking up, there's this one character that, like, leaves, like, the OC or Orange County, and I looked it up, right? Does she actually leave, right? I looked it up, and I find out, spoiler alert, I won't say that the character, so, but this person dies at the end of the season, and it clearly just, like, laid it out for me, how she dies and everything. That's not what I looked up. I looked up and she left, and it says, like, yes, she did, and also, I'm like, no! Like, and I spoiled it for myself. Like, it was my own fault. I know to not look things up online, but...
It's like you looked up a character's name and just next to it, death.
Yeah!
And
you're like,
just ruined
damn it, I did this to myself. So, I don't know. I guess I'm a hypocrite a little bit, but...
Yeah. What's your most, like... Recently, what's your favorite show movie been?
Another great question. Well, my favorite movie of all time is Parent Trap, the Lindsay Lohan version. It's a really long movie, but, like, it's, like, my favorite. I quote the whole thing. So that one is always going to be my top tier. It's just, every scene is good. Like, the plot, like, the way that the story goes, it's just so top tier, so good. Lindsay Lohan's great in it. But what I'm loving right now, there's so many shows. I watch so many shows. I'm more of a series person rather than a movie person.
Me too, I think.
But my favorite show. I can tell you what I like right now. Yeah. I really love Squid Game. And I got my mom to watch it, season 1 and season 2. And it is graphic, one. And it is just heart-wrenching. Like, it's so sad. Like, there are so many, like, sad parts about it. And it's funny because, like, season 1's, like, rough. Like, it's sad, but, like, the plot is so good. And I really like international movies and films and stuff, so I really like that. The subtitles didn't bother me. And it's funny because my mom was like, I'm never watching that show again. Like, that, like, made me so sad. And then I was like, season 2's out. And she was like, I'm not watching it. And then, like, I started, like, telling her the plot of the episodes, and eventually I got her to watch it with me. And it's so funny because she went through the same thing over again, and she was like, why did I watch this, right? But it was funny because, like, she secretly liked it. She can say that she didn't, but she did, and it was a good one. I just like those, like, it's giving, like, Hunger Games a little bit. It's giving, like, life or death, and, like, but it also has deeper meaning. So, yeah, I think I really like that one.
Any books? Are you not a reader?
I'm not a reader. I wish I was a reader. That's another regret in life, is I wish that, like, I could be the person that sits down and reads a book on the beach. Like, I would love to be that person, but I'm not.
I mean, that's always something you learn. Like, you pick up
right.
that skill.
I think it's more because I'm, like, my attention span. Like, I'll try and read a book, and, like, I also, like, skim pages rather than reading them, so I'll miss stuff, and I'll have to go back, and, like, I'm more of a movie, TV show person.
Yeah. You're on an island. You have one choice of any unlimited thing. What do you choose?
Well, if I'm on it, do I have to think strategically, or is it?
However you want to interpret it.
Because like if I was thinking strategically, it'd probably be some sort of like food that's maybe also like, because you need food and water to survive. So maybe like, could you survive off of like watermelon? Because it's like food and I don't know, but I would pick like a food, so maybe like watermelon. But if I was thinking of like an unlimited thing all the time, maybe, well, you said anything, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like unlimited people, right?
Okay.
So like I could choose, right? I could choose how many people I have, because like too many might drive me insane. But like if I need a helping hand, and maybe I could like choose like whenever, like okay, like I only want like one person here right now, and then like, but I think like strategically it would probably be food. But if not, like I would lose my mind alone, I think. So I need people. So that would be my choice. Probably not conventional, but.
In this hypothetical, are you a cannibal or no?
I was gonna say that would solve all my problems, right? Hopefully not. So no.
Okay.
That would be tragic. So.
We can wrap it up soon, but a few more questions.
Okay.
You are, so hypothetical, you are like in front of a stage, like an audience, you're on a stage, and you are talking about something. What is this one thing that you're talking about? Something like that you're super passionate about.
I mean, if I was like boring, I'd say like musical theater. I could talk about musical theater forever. Like every show I love, and like my experience with musical theater. So I'd probably pick that, because like I could talk about theater from like an audience perspective, but I could also talk about it from like somebody who's been on stage before, and like I also like surprisingly, as a musical theater person, I do get stressed on stage or like talking in front of people. Like public speaking and advanced public speaking were the hardest things I took here, which is funny because like again, like most people would be like, you're in musical theater, like why? Like, but I do think there is a difference between being on stage for audience members that want to be there versus being like presenting something for a grade for a bunch of people that don't care. I do think there's a difference. But yeah, so I'd have to pick something I really know. So I would say musical theater, but all the realms, whether it be me being in it, but also like just my like geeking out over it. So I'd say that.
So you've done study abroad in New York, whatever it's called. Where else would you want to travel to learn things? Like, it doesn't have to be study abroad, but just to go out and learn.
I always wanted to travel the world. Like, that was what I wanted to do in my gap year, and like maybe it was more of an escape from everything else. But like I've always still wanted to do that. I would say I would love. So I actually have a friend in South Korea. I met her through the National Student Exchange Program when I studied in New York during my spring semester of sophomore year, and then I also did my fall semester of my senior year, but I met her during my sophomore year. Her name is Sol. She's like the sweetest girl ever. And she's always told me that if I ever made it to Asia, or any part of Asia, specifically South Korea though, that she would bring me around and teach me things and show me like all the cool things that like she knows, because she's from Seoul, South Korea. So I'd probably go there. I mean, I've always been interested in Asia. I definitely went through a K-pop phase for sure, so I have always loved that too. But I think I would learn a lot there. I think like, because my family, like, they've never really gone outside the country, surprisingly. Like, my dad has...
Your dad's a pilot?
Yes, my dad has, but, like, he's more of, like, he's a commercial pilot, and he's for American Airlines, but specifically for Envoy, which is, like a sector of it. And he kind of really only went to, like, he really stayed in the Americas, mostly. So he never really, like, went, like, past, like, the Americas. He never went to, like, Europe or anything. So he never really traveled that much, and then my mom never did, my grandmother never did. Like, they never, like, were interested even, and I think that, like, that's sad. Like, I think that, like, you can learn so much, especially from a country that's so different than yours, and, like, you have to be careful. I mean, like, even in New York, like, you have to be careful. It's definitely not safe in a lot of places. But I do think, like, because I have that outlet, because I have that connection, and because I, like, have heard so many cool things about South Korea and about Japan, I've always wanted to go to Tokyo, and about, like, Thailand, and, like, all these cool places, because I have that connection, I think I'd feel safer, and I think it would just be so cool to, like, go and see, like, a country that's so different, but is also so geared to learning new things and exploring. Like, people from what I know and from what I've heard from my friend, like, learning English is something that's normal. Learning, like going and studying abroad is something that's preferred and sometimes required. And so, like, it's interesting to be in a country where it's so, like nationalist, like, so, like, our country's the best, like, we, like, this is all you need type of mentality. Not everybody, but, like, a lot of people are like, this is all I need. I don't need to go expand. I don't even need to try new foods. Like, I'll just stick with my, like,
chicken tenders.
Yeah, my chicken tenders and fries. Like, so I think it's important to do stuff like that. So I would say anywhere in Asia. I would love to go, specifically to South Korea, though.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your favorite flavor of birthday cake?
I'm not much of a cake person, I'll say that. But I would say, funny thing is, my rival, back to that, we were, like, friends in, like first, second grade, and she would make, or her grandmother, or great aunt, or whatever, would make this, like, cake, but it wasn't, like, too sweet. Like, that's what it is for me. It's like frosting's too sweet, like, the cake is too sweet for me, but she made, like, this, like, graham cracker, but it was, like, Oreo, so they had Oreo graham cracker type of thing, and it was a cake, and it had, like, this, like, almost like whipped cream frosting, and it was so good. So, like, that, or maybe, like, an ice cream cake. I do love an ice cream cake, so I'd probably say
Carvel ice cream cakes.
Yeah, those are so good, but I love Oreo, so I'd probably say, like, an Oreo or cookies and cream type of cake. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. And then one last final question.
Okay.
Is there any advice you'd give out to whoever's watching this, me or anyone else? Just any advice? Doesn't have to be school related, just whatever you want.
It's so basic, but, like, I feel like the only reason I survived college, and, like, I'm being dramatic, but, like, I mean, like, I kind of, like, personally, I kind of went from, like, this, like, dark place of, like, I don't know what I want to do, I'm not allowed to do what I want to do, so now I have to find something else, and I feel like I'm not good at anything. Like, that's kind of where I was. And then freshman year, having a roommate that, like, took, like all the, like, positivity out of me, like, was tough. And the only reason I survived that, to be honest, is because I put myself out there, and I was like, I'm not going to accept this fate, I'm going to try and, like, make friends. I'm going to try and be a part of clubs, or take this job opportunity, right? Like, be involved in class. Things like that are the reason that, like, I wasn't in this slump and, like, didn't drop out. You know how many people I know freshman year, or did know, that dropped out? Because it's not for everybody, and it's hard. And I think that, like, getting involved is the way to make school, because school can be draining, school can be stressful. It makes school so much more rewarding, and I think you can also, like, learn and have fun and grow all at once. And that's through hands-on learning. That's through talking to people and, like, putting yourself out there in places that you may not have even, like, really wanted to. So I think, like, putting yourself out there, taking those risks, taking opportunities, even if, like, you don't know exactly, like, if it's right for you. Like, I think, like, what you're doing is something that, like, everybody should do. Is, like, just do things because, like, oh, like, it's interesting, like, or, like, this could be something I want to do. And, like, it may not be exactly where you end up, right? Like, I was a tour guide for a semester, and I didn't end up loving that, but I tried it. Like, doing things like that, and, like, just finding your community is hard at times, but again, it's not going to happen unless you put yourself out there and you talk to everybody you can, and I think that's just a way of, like, making college so much fun and making you not regret your 4 years, because it's 4 years, but they go by so fast. Like, it's crazy how, like, I can remember, like, my first day coming here, and, like, now, like, it's over, right? My last day of class is today. So it's crazy, but like you have to like use your time wisely and put yourself out there. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining. Do you
Of
have
course.
any last thoughts at all?
Any last thoughts? I would say, just enjoy it while you can, I think. Enjoy your time, goes by fast, and yeah, that's my last words.
Yeah. Well, thank you again.
Of course! That was